vai tirar a camisa! Ele vai tirar, é um dos homens mais fortes do planeta Terra. Nasser El Sonbaty.
Nasser El Sonbaty was not only big, he was a walking behemoth. A real-life titan whose sheer mass and monstrous physique made him look more like a comic book supervillain than a mere mortal.
There's no shortcut here. The bodybuilder has to go the whole way, the whole distance. It's not getting easier. Can have been working out for 5 years, 10 years, 18 years, 20 years. It's not getting easier.
This man's size was nothing short of staggering. His presence commanded attention, and for a time, he was on the cusp of becoming a bodybuilding legend. But just as he was about to seize the Mr. Olympia title, it was ripped from his grasp in one of the most controversial moments in the sport's history.
Nasser El Sonbaty.
And then tragedy struck. At just 47, Nasser's once godlike body crumbled into a shell of its former self. The man who built himself into an unstoppable force of nature was suddenly lifeless, leaving behind a haunting question. How did a mass monster of such freakish strength end up destroyed by his own body? Nasser El Sonbaty's life began in Stuttgart, Germany. On October 15, 1965, born to an Egyptian father and a Yugoslavian mother from Novi Pazar, Serbia. He was an intellectual, earning a degree in history, political science, and sociology from the University of Augsburg and fluent in 7 languages. He did not fit the stereotype of a meathead bodybuilder. Nasser earned the nickname The Professor, not only because of his academic prowess, but also due to his signature round glasses, which he often wore during training and posing.
Because you have to fight internal resistance. But if the mind is willing, the body doesn't mind.
He had 2 sisters and 2 brothers, but despite his academic background, Nasser's passion lay in bodybuilding, where he built a physique that would forever change the sport. Nasser El Sonbaty broke into the professional bodybuilding scene during an era dominated by titans. The world of bodybuilding in the early 90s was ruled by the likes of Dorian Yates, Kevin Levrone, and Flex Wheeler. But Nasser was different. He was not only chasing trophies, he was chasing greatness. From the outset, Nasser's size was his defining characteristic. At 5 foot 11 inches and weighing between 270 and 290 pounds during competition, Nasser was a mass monster. In the off-season, his weight ballooned to a staggering 310 to 330 pounds, making him one of the largest men in bodybuilding. What set him apart though was not just his size, it was his balance, his symmetry, and his unmatched conditioning.
My weight is about 140 kilos and I'm 35 years old and I'm the first time in Fortaleza and I'm giving a couple of seminars on Saturday and Sunday. So everyone is welcome to come to a seminar and then they can see me how I look as well.
Nasser did not have the classic lines of someone like Flex Wheeler, but what he lacked in aesthetics, he made up for in sheer power and stage presence. His shoulders were absurdly wide, his chest a slab of muscle, his legs thick like tree trunks. He had the size, the conditioning, the work ethic. So why didn't he win? Because in bodybuilding, being the best is not enough. The sport is a battlefield of politics, power plays, and backroom deals. Nasser learned this the hard way during the infamous 1997 Mr. Olympia, where many believed he was robbed. But this was not the first time bodybuilding's dark side decided a champion's fate. Look back at 1980, one of the most controversial Olympias ever. Boos erupted as the winner was announced.
Don't ever know who was the true winner between these two.
Why? Because behind the scenes, the Weider brothers, who controlled the IFBB, were engaged in a power struggle with the rival NABBA Federation.
Hi and welcome. I'm Anne-Marie MacDonald. They built a multi-million-dollar empire on manly sweat and oiled pecs. Until Ben and Joe Weider came along, weight training was for muscle-bound geeks on the beefcake circuit, nutritional supplements were for health nuts, and Arnold Schwarzenegger was just an unpronounceable and unknown name.
They banned competitors from NABBA events, manipulated outcomes, and proved that the sport was not just about muscle, it was about control. For Nasser, the game was no different. He wasn't just fighting his opponents, he was fighting a system built on politics, favoritism, and alliances. And in the end, that fight may have cost him everything. Nasser's journey to the top was not at all easy. Early on, he struggled to break through in a field packed with talented competitors. Bodybuilding at this level is a game of perseverance and often extreme sacrifice. Nasser's rise came at a time when the sport demanded more than just muscle. It required pushing the body to its absolute limits, sometimes at great personal cost. His rise to prominence in bodybuilding was not also instantaneous. He began bodybuilding in 1983, with his first competition being a junior state championship in Germany in 1985, where he placed 6th. He competed in 13 amateur shows and 53 IFBB pro shows. Over the years, Nasser steadily climbed the ranks. His first appearance in the Mr. Olympia competition came in 1994, where he placed 7th. He qualified for 10 consecutive Mr. Olympia contests, participating in 9 of them. Overall, Nasser competed in 5 Mr. Olympia competitions, placing in the top 6 each time, with his most memorable performance coming in 1997. He had always been known for his massive size and extraordinary conditioning, but the 1997 Mr. Olympia would be the moment that defined him, though not in the way he or his fans had hoped. That year, Nasser went head-to-head with Dorian Yates, the reigning Mr. Olympia who had already claimed his prestigious title 5 times in a row. But this was not the same Dorian Yates who had dominated the previous years. Just weeks before stepping on stage, Yates suffered a catastrophic tricep tear, a crippling injury for any bodybuilder, let alone the defending champion of the sport. The damage was clear for all to see. His once mighty arms, especially his triceps, looked deflated and weak. His symmetry, which had once been a hallmark of his dominance, was now compromised. His conditioning was far from what it had been in past years, and his once razor-sharp definition blunted by the physical toll that his body had endured from years of grueling training. On the other hand, Nasser brought one of the most flawless physiques of his entire career. He was not just massive, he was perfectly balanced. Every muscle group was sculpted with precision. His front double biceps pose was a masterclass in size and proportion, and his side chest pose made it clear to everyone watching that Nasser was superior. His waist was tight, his abs were deeply cut, and his V-taper was unmatched. It was not just about size for Nasser. It was about balance, symmetry, and total domination. Standing side by side with Yates, the contrast was undeniable. Where Yates looked worn out and battle damaged, Nasser looked like the future of the sport. But then came the decision, one that left the bodybuilding world reeling. Against all logic, against what the audience and experts had witnessed with their own eyes, the judges crowned Dorian Yates as Mr. Olympia for the 6th time.
Nasser El Sonbaty.
The reaction was immediate and furious. Boos echoed through the crowd as fans erupted in disbelief. How could a man with a torn tricep and poor conditioning defeat someone who had brought perfection to the stage? The answer was not found in the physiques. It was found in the politics. Yates was not just another competitor. He was a legend, an icon. The judges, it seemed, were not ready to dethrone him, no matter how compromised his body had become. Nasser, despite clearly outshining Yates, was left standing in 2nd place. It was a robbery that shook the foundation of bodybuilding. Nasser himself could not believe it. He later expressed how deeply the betrayal had scarred him, saying, "I got so badly cheated. My trust will never ever be the same." They lost trust is beyond possible repair. His words were not just those of a man who had lost a competition. They were the words of someone who had been betrayed by the very system he had dedicated his life to. Most bodybuilders, including Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman, even agreed he deserved first place. Nasser's physique that night was so dominant that he earned the title of the People's Champion. Fans and experts alike believed he was the rightful winner. But in the world of bodybuilding, what the people think often does not matter.
Probably the guy that came closest to beating me also. In 1997, I was definitely not at my best. I had the tricep injury going into that contest, and Nasser was very good, so it was a very close contest. Some people think she should have won.
The 1997 Mr. Olympia was the pinnacle of Nasser's career, but also the moment where everything began to unravel. Despite the controversy, Nasser did not let the defeat define him. He continued to compete at the highest level, including his victory at the 1999 Arnold Classic, one of the most prestigious titles in bodybuilding. That win against Kevin Levrone solidified his place as one of the best bodybuilders of his era, but the sting of losing the Olympia never truly left him. Nasser had always been outspoken, not just about his physique, but about the realities of bodybuilding. He was open about his use of anabolic steroids, human growth hormone, diuretics, and other drugs that were common in the sport. Unlike many of his peers who tried to downplay or hide their drug use, Nasser spoke openly and honestly about it, earning both respect and criticism from the bodybuilding community. His openness also extended to his thoughts on the politics of the sport. Nasser was not one to shy away from speaking his mind, and he often criticized the judging in bodybuilding, suggesting that favoritism and politics played a role in deciding winners. This outspokenness, while admired by many, may have also contributed to his downfall. The 1997 Olympia remains one of the most controversial competitions in the sport's history, and many believe that Nasser's refusal to play politics with the IFBB International Federation of Bodybuilding and Fitness cost him the title.
My name is Nasser El Sonbaty. I'm 35 years old and I do live in San Diego, California.
Where are you from?
I think this doesn't matter.
Okay, excellent. What got you into body?
Take your piece of paper.
Do you know that?
Oh, believe me, what got me in bodybuilding is it takes too much time. I think it's totally unimportant.
Okay.
As Nasser's bodybuilding career wound down, his health began to deteriorate. The years of pushing his body to the limit, combined with the use of powerful drugs, had taken their toll. He suffered from kidney failure, likely caused by the diuretics and steroids that he had used throughout his career. His heart was also failing, and he was in desperate need of a heart transplant, a transplant he never received. In 2013, at the age of 47, Nasser passed away while in Cairo, Egypt. He died in his sleep, with the official cause of death being a combination of congestive heart failure and kidney failure. His death was a tragic reminder of the physical toll that bodybuilding can take, particularly at the professional level where athletes push their bodies far beyond what is considered healthy. Nasser's death sent shockwaves through the bodybuilding community. He had been one of the sport's brightest stars, a man who had become so close to the pinnacle of success, only to be robbed of his rightful place as Mr. Olympia. His honesty about the dark side of bodybuilding, the drugs, the politics, and the sacrifices made him a polarizing figure, but also a respected one. He was a man who told the truth, even when it wasn't convenient or popular. But Nasser El Sonbaty's legacy is a complicated one. On one hand, he was a brilliant bodybuilder, a man whose sheer size and presence on stage left a lasting impact on the sport. He was one of the pioneers of the mass monster movement, and his physique in the 1990s set a new standard for what was possible in bodybuilding. He was a competitor who pushed the limits of human performance, and his second place finish at the 1997 Mr. Olympia remains one of the most talked about moments in the sport's history. On the other hand, Nasser's story is also one of tragedy. His openness about steroid use and the sacrifices necessary to compete at the highest level exposed the darker side of bodybuilding. His death at such a young age serves as a stark reminder of the dangers associated with the extreme measures taken to build and maintain a body of such massive proportions.
I think finally today, at the day of the show, I could show and prove that the last year wasn't a waste of time, especially for the lats, for the upper back, and also for the lower back. And it cost me a lot of energy to do this, because at the same time I had still to keep up with the other muscle groups.
Despite his tragic end, Nasser's legacy continues to inspire bodybuilders and athletes around the world. He was a man who refused to be silenced, who spoke out against the injustices he saw in the sport, and who lived his life on his own terms. Though he never officially won the title of Mr. Olympia, in the eyes of his fans, Nasser will always be a champion. In bodybuilding, where politics, judges, and favoritism often overshadow performance, Nasser's story stands as a cautionary tale. He was a man who gave everything for his sport. And though he may not have received the recognition he deserved in life, his legacy as one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time is undeniable.
Goes to the Olympia and he gets third. And
so if he wouldn't have ate that cheesecake and didn't have to, do you think that could that made a difference?
It could have. I mean, it could have made a difference, you know. But what's you still got third. It was his breakthrough show. Like, he hadn't placed that well yet, but he was massive. And I look at him now. And I look at today's lineup, and I still look back and think, and I'm not going to sit there and criticize today's era, but like, I can't believe how big he was.
Nasser El Sonbaty's life was one of triumph, controversy, and ultimately tragedy. He was a bodybuilder who pushed the limits of what the human body could achieve, but who also paid the price for those achievements. His story is a reminder that greatness often comes at a cost, and that in the world of bodybuilding, the line between victory and defeat is sometimes blurred by politics and personal sacrifice. Nasser may have passed away, but his legacy lives on. His story continues to inspire bodybuilders and fans alike, reminding us that true greatness is not just about winning trophies, but about standing tall in the face of adversity and staying true to oneself. Nasser El Sonbaty was more than just a bodybuilder. He was a legend, and his legacy will live on forever. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Nasser El Sonbaty's story, don't forget to hit that like button. For more content on bodybuilding legends, epic moments, and behind the scenes stories, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And to stay up to date with all of our latest videos, hit the notification bell so you will be the first to know when we drop new content.